Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Jack Swift, and welcome to another episode of J Talk News. Tonight's story involves every parent's worst nightmare: violent and irritable children. And the root of the problem is exactly what you think: violent video games! Ever since the creation of Pong back in 1972, there's been an extreme negative rippling effect on the way our youth lives. Kids aren't going out as much as they used to, and the realism of more modern and violent video games is blurring the line between virtual reality and the actual reality. More on how video games are brainwashing your children with our field reporter, Jim Skarn.
Thank you, Jack. And yes, it is true. Video games are actually brainwashing our youth, and this epidemic needs to be brought to the public eye. With recent big AAA games releasing like Grand Theft Auto 5, parents need to be worried more now than ever. Mature themes and violence are common among these shooter video games, and with them being in the hands of so many teens, it can be a recipe for disaster. There's been scientific studies done proving the negative effects of violent video game exposure on teens. They found that when developing brains are exposed to such high levels of violence from games such as War of the Monsters and Call of Duty, testosterone and other mood-related hormones are released in the body, causing players to have more violent and impulsive urges. We have Estelle Costanza on the show who is currently worried about the path of her 10-year-old son, George. Estelle, tell me, what have you noticed in your son and his behavior?
Georgie's, he used to hold my hand and be my little cherub, but I think these video games, they've changed him. He doesn't say I love you back anymore. I hear him yelling at the Call of Duties all the time at all hours of the evening. And I don't think he's truthful about his schoolwork. I just don't know. I think this violence is changing him.
Come on. I don't know if my mom knows this, but I'm in freaking 5th grade, man. I don't get homework. It just pisses me off so much. She always comes in at the worst times when playing Grand Theft Auto. Like, I try to explain to her that I have to go to the strip club to do the mission, but she just doesn't understand. I think the news is trying to brainwash her.
Boo it, boo it, boo it.
As you can see, little Georgie seemed pretty on edge about the whole subject. Back to Jack Swift on how to raise your kids better.
Thanks, Jim. Yes, that is correct. Parents, are you at a dead end with raising your annoying children? I recently purchased the book Parental Handbook for Dummies, and I cannot stress the power of this book enough. Author and world-famous running back Adrian Peterson explains how to lay down a good foundation when raising your kids through trust, empathy, and fun. Some examples I thought were most essential in the book included complete isolation from cellular phones, daily room and phone searches, and no access to video games with an M rating. Children may seem more irritable towards the beginning of this parental trend, but trust me, as a single man with no children or siblings, they're too young to understand the benefits. Next up, after the break, learn the difference between Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto V.